This is a little bit of a break from the norm. Normally I'm giving you a quick synopsis on boards that we've got in stock and why they rock, but this is a board that we haven't got in stock. This is my board, and the reason I'm going to talk to you about it is because it's become a bit of a magic board for me, and I've got a huge amount of time for the shaper behind it, so much so that I've got a couple more of his boards on order from him. So the shaper is Maurice Cole, who, if you don't know anything about, is a legit legend within the kind of like the surf and shaping world. He's pretty much done everything from the early days. He was like a world-class surfer. I think came 6th in the world. He then became a shaper, set up a gig down in south of France. He then went to prison, came out and almost immediately then won the World Championship as a shaper with Tom Curran. He also invented a shape called the reverse V, which has gone on to influence so many shapers around. Even just the other day, I was watching a Christensen video on the Longfish 2, and he was talking about the influence of Maurice Cole's reverse V shape on how he had incorporated that into his designs. And so there you've got a great of the west coast of America being influenced by a great from the west coast of Australia. He's also been highly influential in tow-in surfboards. In fact, if you look at kind of tow-in surfboards now in terms of their height, in terms of the concave, in terms of how they work in bigger waves, he had a huge impact and influence in terms of like defining that whole era. The thing that I kind of respect most about him is that he could have adapted and conformed more to sort of the shapes that were popular, the shapes that were going out there. And to a degree, he has played with so many. That's just the kind of like the curiosity of the man sort of dictates that he has to kind of explore and sort of see what's going on. But it's his commitment to the reverse V and his design language in terms of how he brought back in the peak nose. And in a nutshell, the reverse V is this idea that you have V in the front of the board, which kind of subtly vanishes through here with a hint of double into a single concave. And then another key component of his design is that he keeps edge, whereas most surfboards will run the edge off the tail and then round off as you get to the middle of the board. He kind of keeps that edge the entire length. And it's a design that's so unique to him and that he's pushed and developed, pushed and developed, pushed and developed. And it's one of those board combinations that, like, if you took all the paint off, all the design work, all the logos off, and just had a range of blank boards from different shapers, you could just pick his out every single time. And that's rare. To be not just that original, but also that effective functionally, like his boards speak for themselves in terms of how they perform. So I've actually owned a few Maurice Coles. I had a Red Dingo and I had a hybrid, largely because I'm always curious about boards and how they're working, and I've read and heard so much about the reverse V that I wanted to kind of like check it out. And I really enjoyed those boards. I find the shape really kind of smooth, easy to surf. I find the edge really kind of interesting in the sense that it actually, you can find it and it gives you a sense of security on the board, sort of whatever the waves are doing. So if it's fat and mellow, it gives you loads of release and gives you loads of speed. If it's steep, it allows you to get kind of rail and grip into like the face of it. So every board that I've had, I've found that I've been able to surf it in a range of conditions, which is really handy on UK beach breaks where you're going from fat and mushy 1 hour, and then as the tide comes in, you might then get a bowly, sucky section. I just found his boards were able to handle everything. The challenge I always had, why I never really clicked with them, is that I always found that they had a bit too much control. And as I've got older, I've got less powerful, less flexible, and I quite like the boards to be fast, loose and easy. So all I have to do is kind of just manage my balance and my positioning, and the board almost looks after itself. With the other boards, I'd always kind of reduce the fin as much as possible, to the point I was surfing like tiny little kind of hybrid keels in there, like the smallest I could find, just to try and get that speed and looseness that I was looking for. And then I bought this on eBay, and it's like he was hearing what I was looking for in his boards, and he just absolutely smashed it. So this is the VCON 3, which has got all the classic Maurice Cole features, but the thing which makes this different from all his other boards and any other surfboard around at the moment is these sort of fluted wings, basically. And they're not just like where your normal wings, which basically stay in line with the bottom of the board. They've got this kind of increased rocker that comes off and this channel that kind of runs down them. And what it does is it gives the board this incredible feeling of, well, not a feeling, but this incredible release. And I've surfed mine primarily as a twin, and I've never had a board that as you get it on rail, it starts to go and release really easily, and then it's almost like the second rail catches in off the wing, and it kind of just twists tighter and it pivots around the fin, and it's one of the most satisfying feelings I've had. So with very little input, just by getting your rail play right, your feet positioning right, and the board can literally turn on a dime. And first time I took this out, and this is a 6'8", and it's not perhaps the size I would have chosen, but these really don't come up for sale that often, and I thought I've got to have a crack on one. And I was on a sort of chest high wave, kind of wave I normally have my groveler out, and I was keeping this board in the pocket better than I was able to do with my groveler. It was just turning so sweetly, and straight away I was like, wow, okay, this is what I'm kind of been like waiting and looking for. And honestly, like, I fell in love with this board so much. I'm currently in the process of Maurice Cole's actually in the UK at the moment. Touch wood, he's going to shape us a couple of boards. One a 510, so like a daily hybrid, VCON 3, and then maybe a 7.4, like a bigger one. In the tank, just because I want to kind of be able to use and enjoy this shape, this board, and this shaper as much as possible. Like he's got me really, really hooked. If you follow Maurice online, you'll know that his health is up and down, and he's not in necessarily the best of health anymore. Having said that, God, if I'm still surfing like he is at 70, like I will be over the moon. There are going to be very few opportunities to get original Maurice Cole boards shaped again, and that is a provenance that is so precious and to be celebrated, which is why I've sold the car, I've sold the dog, and that's how I'm funding my 2 new boards from him. But yeah, so just a quick, not that quick compared to the normal ones, but just like a little reel on the Maurice Cole VeeCon 3. I should actually add, hasn't got a huge amount of rocker. And I thought, my heart sank when I got it. I was like, oh, I thought it was going to have more rocker, because I associate rocker with being able to kind of get it on rail and get it turning. But actually, it turns so well without it. And so that flatter rocker actually just gets you into waves that much easier, gives you loads and loads of speed and sort of just natural trim. Yeah, really, it's crazy what he's done with this board. And like I said, there's nothing else that looks like it or surfs like it. And that is a testament to him evolving the same design for decades, literally, until he's got it to a point which is like, what a legacy. Respect.